This is IAQ Radio, Indoor Air Quality Radio, the voice of the indoor air quality industry, with your hosts, Radio Joe Hughes and the Z-Man, Cliff Zlotnick. And now, Radio Joe Hughes.
Good day and welcome to IAQ Radio Plus. This week is episode 650. We've got a great show with reps from our sponsors discussing thoughts, predictions, and plans for 2022 and beyond. We've got some great folks coming in here. Frank Mortl, Brittany Gordon, Larry Sloan, Jens Housley, John Downey, Adrian Fulle, Bob Krell, Jay Stake, Mike Dakduk, John Lovett, Jim Akey, and Kirk Steward. We've recorded short segments with each of them to get their thoughts on, how their company or association looks at 2022 and beyond. So before we get started, let's thank those same sponsors. We couldn't do the show without them. Our marquee sponsor is Instascope at instascope.co. Our association sponsors are the American Industrial Hygiene Association, AIHA.org, the American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists, ACGIH.org, the Cleaning Industry Research Institute, CIRI Science.org, the Indoor Air Quality Association, IAQA.org, the Restoration Industry Association, restorationindustry.org, the Institute for Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification, IICRC.org, Healthy Buildings America 2021, HB 2021-America.org. Industry sponsors are AEML Laboratories, AEMLinc.com, Particles Plus, particlesplus.com, Gray Wolf Sensing Solutions, graywolfsensing.com, TSI Inc., TSI.com, Sunbelt Rentals, sunbeltrentals.com, Aprilaire, April, AIRE.com, Healthy Indoors Magazine, healthyindoors.com.
And now you can win a cool prize. It's time for the IAQ Radio Trivia question. Be the first to correctly answer. Simply email your answer to czlotnick@cs.com. Or if listening live, just text your answer from your computer. And now, here's the Z-Man.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry to report there was no correct answer to 2021's final trivia question, which was to identify the editor of the 1993 New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene's recommendations on addressing mold growth indoors. The answer to that question was Christopher D'Andrea. The IQ Radio Trivia question for today, January 7, 2022, has been sponsored by TSI, an industry leader in the precision instrumentation for the monitoring of indoor air. Learn how to expand your IAQ investigations at tsi.com. Here's today's IAQ trivia question. What major holiday is celebrated today and why? Back to you, Joe.
All right, thanks, Cliff. We're going to go to first ACGIH Executive Director Frank Mortl. We asked him about his thoughts, predictions, and plans for 2022, and here's what he had to say.
Well, boy, ACGIH certainly appreciates the opportunity to engage with the IAQ radio audience. And my name is Frank Mortl, Executive Director of ACGIH. 2022, according to our leadership, is looking to be a very transformational year. And by that, we mean we're looking to challenge both our supporters, our members, our staff, and really our entire organization to take our opportunities to engage with the OEH community to the next level. We've learned a lot through the last 2 years of the pandemic. And if nothing else, the ability for our organization to be versatile enough to pivot into some of these challenges, including digital acumen and the ability to broaden our spectrum where appropriate for our experts within the OEH community, seems like it's going to provide a lot of tangible opportunities and outcomes for the OEHS community in 2022, beginning with Q1. And at that point, we're looking to identify the release of an air sampling technologies manual. This is many years in the making. It's really a compilation of worldwide expertise ranging in baseline necessities from compliance to the practical application of all sorts of air sampling technology methodologies. I think that's going to be very important for the listeners here and the viewers of IAQ Radio to identify where this air sampling technologies book can make a difference in your professional outcomes. By the second quarter of the year, this is something that's been a very, very large undertaking for ACGIH for, again, quite some time. But an online database, a reservoir, if you will, for all of our TLVs, BEIs, and the scientific documentation behind them. Imagine having immediate access to all of ACGIH's signature opportunities to identify those numeric values, supported by the interpretation of those values on your phone instantly, in a very easily way to navigate the search mechanisms, as well as on your tablet, laptop, or PC. That is coming in Q2. We're calling it the ACGIH Data Hub, and I'm very excited to see where that can take our science to the next level to support all sorts of OEHS professionals globally. By Q3, this is something, Joe, I'm sure your library will appreciate. We're looking to update finally, after 23 long years, the Red Book, the Bioaerosols Assessment and Control by ACGIH. This opportunity to this comprehensive guide to the assessment and control of bioaerosols and a wide range of contemporary workplace assessment is really something that's long overdue, but also we'll have COVID protocols, yes, but a wider range of looks at what pandemic responses can be and could be going forward for the unfortunate event that future types of serious viral illness takes hold of the world going forward. This is going to be a landmark event, again, hoping in Q3 for the release of the second edition Bioaerosols book. Very, very exciting for ACGIH, as well as in the Q4, we're looking to produce the 31st edition of our Industrial Ventilation, a Manual of Recommended Practice for Design. It's been, at that point, 4 long years. It was when I first started with ACGIH in the fall of 2018 that the 30th edition was released. Well, this 31st edition has taken a little longer than our traditional 3-year cycle. Why? Because we've introduced COVID protocols into this design manual. It's going to be dynamic, as well as a number of very cutting edge opportunities for dilution ventilation and other very serious opportunities that have been discussed actually on IAQ Radio in the past by the Industrial Ventilation Committee Chair of ACGIH, John Hale, Neil Zimmerman, and others in the ACGIH community of experts. And again, we're hopeful will relate very, very highly to the audience of IAQ Radio. So that's a quarter by quarter big picture look. Of course, ACGIH, as always, is going to be putting on our Learning Pass of virtual education next year, slated for 2 webinars a month, 24 next year, over 30 plus contact hours. And what's really fun about the Learning Pass from ACGIH next year, in addition to the high level of serious science that's aligned with our Learning Pass, it's $9 a credit hour. It's so affordable to get involved at these opportunities to significantly increase your professional acumen through the lens of these 90-minute or so virtual educational opportunities through ACGIH, as well as our in-person and now hybrid courses on industrial ventilation. We've had the world-renowned FIV industrial ventilation course. We're going to be putting on 3 of those next year. We now have an on-demand basics in industrial ventilation, soon to be translated into Spanish, as well as metric for our friends overseas and around the world. And we also are producing an advanced industrial ventilation course next year. So we're very excited, pleased to be a proud partner of IAQ Radio. And again, thank you for your opportunity, your time today.
Thank you, sir. That was Frank Mortl, the Executive Director of ACGIH. I love when he mentions that industrial ventilation there, Cliff. It always reminds me of Dr. Dietrich Weil. He used to rave about that course and the book. So always brings back good memories. Let's go to AEML Labs, Brittany Gordon. We asked her the same thing. What are your thoughts, predictions, and plans for 2022?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on today. So AEML is doing really, really well. We are looking forward to the new year and having everyone kind of join us again with all of our events and having people come into the lab with the social distancing and stuff like that, now that everything seems to be a little bit better. As far as our lab services, everything's exactly the same. Nothing's ever going to change. We're still going to give same day turn. We're still going to give you free shipping for all of the samples coming in. All of those great services will always continue to be the same. We do have some events coming up in 2022, which we're really excited about. We are doing winter break again for anyone that needs their 14-hour CEUs. That's going to be at the end of January 27th through the 29th. So we're excited about that, to have people come together again and see everyone's faces and say hello and stuff like that. We've
Is that in
missed
West
you guys.
Palm?
That's going to be in Deerfield.
Deerfield
the
Beach?
Doubletree, yes, the Doubletree in Deerfield Beach. It's Deerfield Beach, Boca Raton, kind of
I
the border there. Yeah, so we're
Okay.
really excited about that. Everything in Florida is open, so people can kind of enjoy a vacation down here and visit the local areas, as well as join us for winter break. And then come see us at the lab too. We're here.
And you're in a new facility since the last time I was down there. Much bigger?
We went to a different facility. We are much bigger now. We have lots of analysts here to read samples, and a whole bunch of other people that kind of do Zoom meetings and all sorts of fun stuff. So we're more than just a lab here. We kind of try to do client services, things to kind of give back to our clients all the time. Whatever we can do, we want to.
And you're the headquarters, but I don't know that people realize there's also an Australian branch. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We opened a branch in Australia. So we have a couple people over there as well. So we are now international, and we have samples come from all over the world, even from here too. We have samples that come from New Zealand and Ireland, all over. They send them here, or they send them in Australia, things like that. So we are international, and we want to keep growing. So who knows where the next spot could be.
I was just going to ask that if you knew who the next one is, but we'll keep that for a later announcement.
Exactly. Not yet, but any suggestions, we're here. We're willing to do it.
Okay. And I'm curious, with COVID, going on 2 years now, how did that affect business for AEML?
So I'm going to say we were pretty consistent throughout. The good thing about mold for us is it never stopped growing, even though COVID was a thing. We are doing just as well now as we did then. Obviously, we are happy kind of that point is over, just so we can kind of connect a little bit more with our clients and have people come in the lab and do some tours and things like that. But overall, I mean, COVID was difficult for everyone, and obviously the employees felt it too, but we're happy to say that everything was consistent, and we grew from that experience as well.
And I, as the director of client services, I assume you talk to most every client. And how has COVID affected their businesses, the indoor air quality kind of guys and gals out there doing this work?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I heard both ways. Some people were worried about doing inspections and things like that. But as the months went going, and people got their vaccinations, I feel like more people are okay with going in people's houses again, and vice versa. People are okay with other individuals coming to their homes now. So everything right now is exactly back to normal, if not better.
Well, fantastic, Brittany. We appreciate AEML and their sponsorship of the blog. And Cliff will be down to the winter break 2022 there. And
yes, absolutely. We're excited.
I'll bet you are. It should be an excellent
It'll be program. A lot of fun. It'll be a great event for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Brittany Gordon. We appreciate you joining us and look forward to talking again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Interesting how they're looking at things in Florida, and we'll soon hear from Mr. Downey how they're looking at it in Hawaii. It's an interesting world we live in here, folks. But before we do that, our next guest is Larry Sloan, the AIHA CEO. I got to tell you, these guys are impressive. Both Larry and Frank and a lot of these association management. Michael Dakduk will be with us a little bit later. They've all really impressed me, and it seems like the industry associations are picking it up a notch. So let's hear what Larry has to say.
Well, thanks for having me on again, Joe. It's been a very busy year. We updated our AIHA Enterprise Strategic Plan that now will span 2022 to 2024. The domains remain the same, but we've got a lot of new programs and initiatives that are going to be populating those domains. And I thought what I would do is just kind of touch upon a few of the domain areas as part of this year-end report. So first off, under the awareness domain, we are just delighted that we received a CDC NIOSH grant earlier in 2021, and we've been working on a series of projects under that grant that are all based on how to help businesses cope with the pandemic. And so we'll be rolling out all of the deliverables in early 2022, and they're all going to be housed on the AIHA website, as well as a new microsite called Commit to Care. So that's COMMITTOCARE.org. And the Commit to Care campaign is basically a pledge that we're asking organizations and companies to take to basically spread this information, these knowledge products, to their employees or stakeholders if you're a professional society or a trade association. So we're very, very pleased and honored that we received the grant, and there's a lot of really good practical deliverables in the months ahead. We also worked on 2 microsites, and I think we talked about this earlier in the previous year, www.workerhealthsafety.org, which is designed to help educate the general public about the OEHS profession. And then the other one is www.oehscareers.org. That's designed for students. And there are a variety of deliverables, knowledge products that are tailored for different age students, middle school kids, high school kids, et cetera. In 2022, we're going to launch a new microsite called www.healthierworkplaces.org. That's a kind of a takeoff on our tagline, Healthier Workplaces, a Healthier World. So this new microsite is going to include all of the Back to Work Safely guidance documents, as well as a home for all of the Commit to Care knowledge products that come off that CDC grant. It's going to be a one-stop consumer portal that has videos, infographics, other useful consumer tools that are related to other issues like wildfire cleanup, mold, disaster recovery, and other resources for consumers. So we're very excited about launching that new microsite, healthierworkplaces.org, in early 2022. Under the community domain, we are pleased to have launched a new mentor program. We have a new mentoring platform. It features a one-step enrollment process, algorithm-based matching for mentors and mentees, mobile accessibility, calendar syncing, an online chat feature, and also video call capabilities. We've got close to 200 mentors and mentees already enrolled. So this platform is going to make it a lot easier for folks to connect with one another, to help nurture students or early career professionals with their professional development. And this program is going to be available to all AIHA members, including our international folks. Under the knowledge domain, advancement of knowledge, we are pleased that finally, after many years of work, we have updated the AIHA Noise Manual. This is a very comprehensive knowledge product that was developed by some of the leading hearing protection experts in the country. That should be available for purchase in the middle of January. We've also released the updated mold guidance, as you know. That's called the Assessment, Remediation, and Post-Remediation Verification of Mold in Buildings, the 2nd edition. That's an essential piece for professionals that are involved in conducting mold assessments in both residential and commercial buildings. In this update, the authors discuss exposure and hazard assessments, determination of requirements that are required for reoccupancy, as well as post-remediation ventilation methodologies and techniques. And then I'm very excited that, over the last couple of years, as a result of the pandemic, we've been developing a lot of resources, again, for small businesses to help respond to the pandemic. We've got a new comprehensive library of all of these public resources available now in Spanish. And we have a webpage, we call it Recursos en Español. And if you go to the AIHA.org landing page, homepage, you'll see a link to that page, and all of our materials in Spanish are now linked to the Recursos en Español landing page. And it includes publications, infographics, guidance documents, and white papers, all at no charge for our Spanish-speaking folks. Also, under the knowledge domain, we have a new Defining the Science initiative that kicked off at the beginning of 2021. This is a collaborative venture between AIHA and ACGIH. Ultimately, we're going to be developing a new national OEHS research agenda. So it's going to be a list of topics that we're going to be looking for potential funding partners, whether it's NIOSH or academia. We feel that both organizations are well positioned to create this new national OEHS research agenda that'll be filled with cutting edge topics that we feel require additional research. We've created a climate change adaptation task force that is going to be creating a new body of knowledge on how the OEHS professional addresses the ramifications of climate change. So that body of knowledge is planned for 2022. We also have a new human capital task force that is going to be developing a white paper on, again, the human capital and what they call the ESG, which is the environmental social governance space, and what the role of the OEHS professional is in that realm. That's also planned for 2022. We created a grand challenge program under our fellows special interest group. This is an initiative that percolated up a couple of years ago, and we finally got ourselves organized. And this is really designed to identify what we call important, aspirational, and compelling initiatives that are geared towards solving critical needs around the world. And so we're in the process now of reviewing some themes that bubbled up from focus groups that we held in the fall. And we're aligning those themes with the UN sustainability goals. Out of this effort, we'll be developing a membership survey to canvass the membership to obtain further input. And then we'll be reaching out to allied associations in the OEHS space to see who wants to partner with us on developing what I consider like a series of white papers that will be used to help further identify what these grand challenges are. We don't anticipate solving these grand challenges in the near future, but we want to develop a library of short discussion documents, if you will, that helps to identify what are these grand challenges, what makes up the issues, and how do we go about figuring out ways to address them. So that's another initiative that we're launching in full earnest in 2022. So that's just a snapshot of some of the exciting programs that are lined up. I could go on, but I'm going to stop there and just wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Larry Sloan, AIHA. And I'll tell you what, I was making notes as we went along because I forgot about a couple of things we chatted on. I definitely want to do a noise show sometime this year, Cliff, early this year. I think that's a great topic. And I also wanted to note their mentoring program. I think that's something that's very much needed in the industry, and glad to see they're working on that. Our next guest is Jens Housley from Aprilaire. I love talking to these guys. They're out there working with all the HVAC people, trying to figure out what the trends are. And I was kind of wondering, okay, what are they going to come up with? And they surprised me a little bit. So here's what's next.
As the leaders in healthy indoor air, we've really taken that to heart over the last couple of years. And radon is going to be a big piece of that as we move into 2022. So not many people know this, but radon is the #1 leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Kills an estimated over 22,000 people a year, and is really an issue in a lot of homes across the nation. So the EPA estimates that over 21 million homes have what we consider high levels of radon, levels that we should be taking action on. So it's really, an indoor air quality issue that's widespread across our nation. So again, Aprilaire, on a mission to provide healthy air in every home, we've taken a stance on this, and we've said, hey, it's time for us to put another feather in our cap and really develop a radon solution, an end-to-end solution for our dealers to work with their homeowners, their customers, in taking that healthy air to the next level. So what we've done is we focused on what we heard from our customers, again, HVAC dealers across the nation. We asked them, what's been your hurdle in getting into this type of opportunity? And sometimes they had heard about radon and have even tried to get into radon. And the number one thing we heard was, we just don't know where to start. We don't understand how to get in. We don't understand how to talk about it. So our focus over the last year and a half has really been providing a simple solution for them. And that's not just with our product. That's also with what it takes to become certified in radon mitigation. So we've developed a 5-day training course that's tailored to our customers and gives them the information that they need and the time that they need to become certified in radon mitigation. So that was really step one, is giving them an easy way to get into this market. Step two is providing the reliable solution that Aprilaire is known for. So we've developed products for radon testing and radon mitigation that are going to help our customers control radon from end to end. So like I said, we have short-term test kits that are simple to use, easy for our homeowners to put in their home and get results quickly. And then we have the mitigation solutions that are going to allow our contractors to get into homes and mitigate and remove that radon from the air in their homes, making that healthy air prevalent in all the homes that they touch. So really, again, focusing on the end-to-end solution, which may not necessarily be out there right now. And finally, I think as we talk to our customers, they need to know that it's an opportunity that's worth it for them. And what's different about our approach is that we're being proactive in this solution. So the market today really is driven by real estate transactions. So somebody's selling or buying a home, and that's when the radon conversation starts. It's limited. There's a limited reach when we're talking about real estate transactions. When we look at our industry, the HVAC industry, our dealers are in over 30 million homes a year. So the reach is much, much greater than just a real estate transaction. So we can start having that conversation as our techs get into the homes, performing service calls, performing maintenance calls, or even installs. So the reach in that healthy air conversation is just exponentially grown when we start talking about going to market in this way. And that's kind of our unique approach and how we feel we can start to create that healthier air in every home and really drive home our mission of being healthy air.
That's, my son does construction here. He's been asked to get into, radon mitigation. And it sounds like a real nice approach. I think it'll do well, and you explain it well. And we appreciate Aprilaire's sponsorship and look forward to talking again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. And we appreciate it as well. Thanks for having me.
All right. You're welcome. Take care.
Yep.
Jens Housley, he's a senior product manager at Aprilaire. And like I say, that one caught me a little by surprise. I wasn't expecting them to focus as heavy on radon as they have. But like I said, my son, we've been getting calls from people saying, why don't you go into the radon? And I'm somewhat familiar with it. I've had classes on radon in the past, but I wasn't sure how to get my boy started in that. And it looks like Aprilaire was kind of ahead of me on it. And hopefully we'll work together with them down the road here. So that was great. All right, let's go on to Mr. John Downey. John Downey is the CIRI Executive Director. And he was also, CIRI is also working with ISIAC on Healthy Buildings 2021, and which was moved to 2022, which is now, as you will hear. Well, let's let John tell you.
Hey, Joe. That's really well said. It's Healthy Buildings 2021 in 2022. Just last week, about a week ago, after this Omicron variant just went crazy, we really felt we had no choice but to transition to a all virtual live conference. Unfortunately, time in Hawaii is not going to happen, at least not this year. but the conference is full go. In fact, in some ways, the conference will be better, at least content-wise, for people since it's going to be virtual, because all sessions will be available live, including the poster sessions, and we have more flexibility in terms of being able to schedule for a global audience, which is what ISIAC's membership is. I mean, it's a global organization. So we're not doing it on Hawaii time, which is kind of an inconvenient time unless you're in Hawaii. But it will be scheduled in such a way that it should be very convenient for people in North America, but also people in Europe and Asia will have times when they're not sleeping to attend the conference live, including all of the general sessions of the conference.
And will they also be recorded so that if you miss one, you can go back later?
Yes. Everything is going to be recorded, and everything will be available through the conference site for 60 days. But in addition to that, after that, we anticipate being able to provide like buckets, if you will, of sessions by certain topic areas that will be available, for purchase or to attendees at no additional cost. There's 3 different tracks, by the way, so you can't be watching 3 different tracks at the same time. However, you can choose from any of the presentations or workshops. There's a total of 10, maybe even 11 workshops that are a part of the conference. I mean, the content of this conference is pretty incredible. A Healthy Buildings Conference is always going to have a lot of academic type research papers and presentations and posters and things like that. But with this conference, not only do we have more academics who put in for presentations that include the practitioner perspective, but we also have quite a few oral presentations and workshops, including one that CIRI is involved in, that are very much practitioner or practice oriented. But all of them that we're trying to kind of build that bridge. That's a big deal, is building that bridge between researchers, what they do, why they do it, and practitioners, what they do, why they do it, and making sure that there's a relevance between the research and what practitioners need.
So you mentioned Siri, and you've been involved for the first time now with ISIAQ, the International Society for Indoor Air Quality and Climate. I believe I got that right. The acronym police will let me know. Tell us what's new with Siri next, coming up this year, and also, do you have future plans with ISIAQ?
All right, so I'll answer your second question first and I will answer it by not answering it.
Okay.
And that is to say, we hope to be able to partner with ISIAQ again, and we have a plan, but we aren't going to pursue that plan until after this conference is over. So I am pretty excited about the potential for doing that, but I don't want to get ahead of myself in announcing something that is not reality at this point. But
okay.
It is for Siri, and actually it leads into the second, your first question that I'm answering second. For an organization like Siri to partner with other organizations and various types is really important, because we have a narrow, deep focus. We need other organizations that have a broader focus. Their scope is greater than ours in many ways, but ours is deeper than theirs in many ways. We feel like we can be complementary with a lot of different organizations. A couple of them I will mention, we'll be working with at the ISIAQ conference. That would be IICRC, as well as, I believe, the president of RIA will be also involved in a workshop that we're doing. That workshop is going to be a look back at the foundational research that was done back in the 1990s and 2000s by a variety of people, but Gene Cole, Mike Berry, and others. But that research kind of established the foundation for the standards and the standards development process that the IICRC in particular did. Also ISSA, there was research that was related to ISSA, another association, and RIA also has participated in some ways in those things. So it will be helpful for practitioners who don't know about what of substance is behind standards in particular that have been developed. In addition to, practitioners, my experience is that researchers, for the most part, have no clue about the research that was done because it's too old for them. They don't, basically anything older than 2 or 3 years, they don't recognize. Well, that doesn't, I understand why that would be in that world, but in our world, the world of the practitioner, the contractor, the restorer, we don't get the amount of research that you get in the research, in the academic area. So it was really good research done and established a very firm foundation. It's important that be recognized.
All right, John. Well, any other big plans for CIRI in 2022, or do you want to kind of keep that close to the vest until we see you again?
Well, I would. There are a couple things that we're working on that if you don't mind, I'd like to just mention real quick.
Sure.
It is related to that research that I talked about. We're going to put together a special issue of the CIRI peer review publication that's going to feature the historical research. And so we're basically going to take those papers that have not really been seen by 90% of the people in the industry, and we're going to put that information together as a special issue. And it might be something that we will do on a continuing basis and focus on research in different areas. The other thing is also kind of related as well. You may be familiar with a show in Europe called Interclean. It's a building service contractor commercial cleaning show. It's humongous. It is put on by an organization that I think it's RAI and pronounced RAI. And we have been in discussions with them about development of a cleaning science library, a research library that we've actually, at CIRI, we've actually been working on one already based on the papers that we have published in our publication. I also got permission from the IICRC to republish the papers that originally were published in their publication. We had begun that process, and the thing is, RAI and Interclean, they could turbocharge that process and have expressed an interest in it. We're hoping to put something together. It isn't finalized by any means, but we're hoping to be able to do something together and maybe announce it at the Interclean show, which is in May.
Sounds like interesting stuff, John, and very important.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. There's a lot going on, and that's good. I like to be busy. I'm probably more busy than I should be.
Thank you, John Downey, Executive Director of CIRI, and also representing Healthy Buildings America 2021. We'll be in touch soon, John.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Joe.
Always great to hear from Mr. Downey. He's done a fantastic job with that organization. They kind of fell off the screen for a while, but John has put them back on in a big way. And I think it's important stuff they're doing and collecting all that research that's gone on over the years. I think that's vital, and looking forward to continued work with CIRI. Next up is from First OnSite, one of our newer sponsors with the Afterthoughts program. After the show, you can go to Afterthoughts and check out our thoughts on the show and some thoughts from listeners as we went through it on the chat, etc. So looking forward to building that as the year goes on. But Adrian is the Vice President of Marketing for First OnSite. So we're going to get a rather large restoration company's view on the thoughts, predictions, and plans for 2022.
Thanks, man. Listen, first I want to say Happy New Year's to you, John, Joe, the whole team there at IAQ, and all the viewers and listeners. It's been awesome being partners with you guys this year, and looking forward to continuing this relationship for 2022 and beyond. So we're really excited to be a part of this family and this community that you guys have built. At First OnSite, we had an awesome year. We launched our brand in March of 2021, and since then we've grown unbelievably. We have an aggressive growth strategy. We've acquired 8 other companies and successfully integrated them into First OnSite. And our global footprint is just growing every day, and the whole purpose of that is to better serve our clients in any way that they need. We have this grand vision, Cliff, of being, what do we say? We say the only partner you'll ever need, and we really believe we can get there for our clients. None of our competitors are growing at this rate. We're the fastest in the industry. We recognize that, and of course, it's a challenge at the same time as it's exciting. So for 2022, we plan to continue that aggressive growth strategy because we really want to realize that vision of being the only partner our clients will ever need. But to be honest with you, our focus right now and going into the year and for the foreseeable future is really about providing value to our clients. It's not a focus on all the things you would think about in business. It's really on specifically value for how do we provide better and greater value for them. And then we have another goal, which is to become the #1 employer of choice. Again, lofty goal, but we feel if we work hard, we can get there. Because part of that value for our clients is by having a team of people who want to work at First OnSite, want to work in restoration. We love the idea of building a culture that will allow folks and excite folks and inspire folks from all different industries, all walks of life, all diverse backgrounds, you name it, to come and work for us because we have an awesome culture. We really value people that look at things differently, have different perspectives, and we try to bring that to what we do for our clients. And really, because we're new, we have that opportunity now. We're not bound to some old way of doing things in restoration. First OnSite has this freedom to be forward thinking. I think 2 great examples of that is this massive investment that we made in technology, which you'll learn a little bit more about in 2022. We're bringing some things to market that have never been done before, solely to provide that great value for our clients. We're not talking some little crappy iPhone app. We're talking like real-time, big-time, data-driven technologies that no one has ever heard of before. It's pretty exciting stuff. So we're just really excited for the year. We're gonna, get to our 1-year anniversary in March and have a big celebration for that, and just continue to grow.
Adrian, do you have any plans on going overseas, or are you already overseas?
It's a great question. We're in currently all of North America and Puerto Rico. We have, I think, a little over 90, branch offices and 2,400 employees. And yeah, listen, we say we're global. We want to be global. I'm not sure what the grand plans are to get there, but I personally would love to go and work with some folks in Europe or Southeast Asia, So yeah, there's certainly those kinds of plans down the road. How we get there, I'm not sure exactly at this moment.
And I'm just wondering, there's a big consolidation going on in the restoration world. There's also consolidation of the people who service the restoration world, the groups that provide pricing and things like that. How has that affected First OnSite?
Well, what I got to say is that you're absolutely right. We're in the second phase of the market for restoration, which is that consolidation phase. So we're seeing, this massive flow of private equity coming in and all sorts of changes happening. For us at First OnSite, it's an exciting time. I think it's an exciting time for anybody in the business, whether you're a mom and pop business that's been, doing your thing in your region for 20 years, or you're a big company like First OnSite, or you're any one of the vendors that services our industry. It's an amazingly exciting time because there's all this money flowing in. There's incredible opportunities. And let's face it, I mean, we have change in our environment every day now. You and I were talking earlier about crazy 10 feet of snow in California. So there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of folks to basically take care of and get out there and rebuild their lives. So I don't know. I just look at it as really, really awesome time. And I think most of the folks in our vendors, as well as other companies that we're partners with, would agree.
Fantastic. It's great to talk to you and get that kind of global perspective, on the restoration world. You guys are the big dogs out there, one of only a few. And it's always interesting to see where you see things going in 2022.
Yeah, man, it's great to be here and great to be working with you guys. And I'm looking forward to next year. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Adrian. All right, let me get that site correct. It's afterthoughts.iaqradio.com and sponsored by First OnSite. Having a great year. Next up, Bob Krell, founder of Healthy Indoors Magazine. Need I say more? Always great to talk to Bob.
Predictions. Well, 2022 hopefully will be a lot better than 2020 and 2021. It's been tough. I mean, honestly, it's mixed blessing for us because, we're an online media company. So for us, we're online anyway. So the fact that live events and in-person stuff's canceled isn't that much of a stretch for us because we've been pushing the online envelope for quite a while. But it's still been stressful for everybody, right? I mean, this hasn't been an easy 2 years for anybody in any industry. So, and I think we're this pandemic and the SARS-CoV-2 virus thing, this isn't going anywhere in the near future. So I think we're still going to be living with some artifacts of it for at least the remainder of this year, and maybe going on longer. So this might be at least a modified way of life for us. Unfortunately. So economically, I mean, I can't really speak to the entire industry. I can speak to the sectors that I work in. There seems to be a lot of work and a lot of opportunity, a lot of business in the indoor environmental industry. So this isn't, at least speaking for myself, it hasn't been financially burdensome, but it's been just mentally stressful, just life in general. So So, I mean, 2022, we're really excited about what's going on this year with, at least in our world, with Healthy Indoors. We've last year, mid-year, we launched the Healthy Indoors online global community, which is a totally new platform, really very indoor environmental, indoor air quality centric. And it's basically an online communications platform, networking platform, and media platform for people all around the world. It's free. And it, envision like a Facebook / LinkedIn specifically for indoor environmental issues. So it's pretty exciting. It's gaining traction. I mean, it's new, and we're real excited about the prospects of what we can do. The Healthy Buildings America conference that just got moved to totally online. Yes. Originally, we were going to be live streaming from the Honolulu event on the community. So we had partnered with them to do that. That's off now. They moved it to another platform just to better facilitate what they're trying to do with all online. It's a little bit different environment now. But, we'll be doing more events like that through the course of the year. And of course, magazine's still there. We come out every month and write about stuff people are interested in, I hope. And it's show production, behind us, the Healthy Indoors live show comes back weekly in February, and the After Hour show comes back monthly in February. So,
all right, Bob. Well, that sounds great. Happy 2022. Always great to talk to you. Get your thoughts. I tend to agree. The IEQ world, you're just going to have to learn to rock with it. And you know what? There's a lot of opportunities out there, like you said, and there's more awareness than ever. So take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Well, Happy New Year, Joe, to you and Cliff and all your staff. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Bob. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Next up, Jake, as we call him, IAQA president, with his thoughts, plans for 2022.
Hey, Merry Christmas to everybody.
I love it.
This is a good time of year. It's for families and friends, but
that's right.
Thank you, Joe, and everybody for inviting me here. This has been a crazy year along with last year. To some people, they made money hands over fist exponentially. Other companies really suffered. It's been a trying time. You asked if our industry will get back to the normal. That's a very subjective term. What is normal now? I mean, is it just the cleaning? Is it, the testing? What is it? It's just, everybody's just trying to survive and do the best they can with what's going on. In the IAQ world, what we're doing is we're getting back to the basics. We're getting back to the education and benefits for our members. And, in short time, we're going to be releasing the school mold standard for everybody, Great. And it'll be at no charge. They're going to have to fill out a form, and that way it'll help the educational facilities. And
this is indoor air quality in schools or mold in schools?
It's the mold and moisture assessment standard.
Okay, so we're specific to mold and moisture on that one. Good.
Yeah. And we've been working on it for quite a few years. We finally finished it, and we're just doing up the final touches, to go through the publication process.
Great. That's been a long time in coming. I bet there's 10 years in that document.
No, wrong. 16 and a half. But
wow.
Who's counting?
Who's counting, Jay? Oh, that's funny.
But if you go to our mission statement, the Indoor Air Quality Association's leading organization dedicated to developing, educating, and supporting our multidisciplinary membership to identify and resolve indoor environmental challenges. Our membership is basically 40% consultants, 40% contractors, and 20% academia, laboratories, sponsors, et cetera, et cetera.
Facilities people.
So like I said, we're getting back to the basics, the education and benefits. That's why I joined, over 20 years ago, back in the late 90s. It was the education, and that's what we're getting back into. That's what our members have been asking for, and that's what we're going to, start delivering to them. And
so what do you think? You're going to be live in Tucson this year? Is it going to go off?
We're going to be live in Tucson. Yeah. The registration's open. We're getting a lot of people registering for it, and I'm excited about it. ABRA is going to join us, the American Biorecovery Association.
Yep.
They're joining us for the conference, and things are tougher. It's not the same as it was years ago, and I'm hoping nothing happens, with shutdowns or anything like that, but we're going full steam ahead. We're going to be there in person.
Do you have a backup plan for online if things get worse?
We will have to, if it comes down, we're going to have to go to plan B.
Okay. What other new things do you see for 2022? A lot of people know you in your role as the IAQA president, but you also have two small companies that do indoor air quality work. How's business been for you?
Well, the one company, J&J Consultants, we do the full-blown indoor air quality assessments. That has really picked up, where on my relocation side, structural science, it's really dropped off because people are buying homes with no inspections. And on the relocation side, after a home inspection, that's when they require either myself or structural inspections, HVAC, electrical. They're buying the homes and not even gone through the inspection process. So that's why if and when the market crashes, then that part of my business will come back full blown.
Gotcha. All right, Jay, anything else you'd like to add on IAQA side or on your own personal side for 2022?
I'd just like to thank all of our sponsors for our 2022 conference, which is Particle Plus, PROAC, SGS, IICRC, RFG, MET1 Instruments, Safe Traces, Quantum Labs, Micrometer, Foster, and Enthalpy Analytical. And I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a safe holiday. And it's like I said before, it's a time for family and friends. And I value that more than anything.
Yes, sir. And maybe you could move back a little so we can get a little better look at that lovely suit you have on.
Like this, huh?
Yeah.
See, I'm an elf in training.
Oh, my. It's even got the IAQA logo. I love it, Jay.
Yeah, right there.
Thanks again, buddy. Always great to talk to you.
Hey, take care. Tell everybody we said hi and be safe.
Will do. All
Okay.
right.
Bye-bye.
That was great. Brings back many memories. Mr. Steak is one of our favorites here. All right, next up, we're gonna run a little over. Just warning people, probably about 15 minutes. We're gonna go to the roundup after these next two, but first, we want to hear from Michael Dakduk, President and CEO of the IICRC. These are the big dogs in the restoration world. So let's hear what their plans are for 2022.
Well, first, let me just thank you, Joe, for having me on IAQ Radio. I really appreciate it. 2022, we're excited to be in the second quarter of our strategic plan. Our fiscal year 2022 actually starts in October. So we're already 3 months into our 2022. And for the new year, the new calendar year, we're fully implementing the strategic plan that was adopted last year. We have 4 priorities. First is accreditation. Second is advocacy. Third, research. And fourth, technology. So those are our 4 priorities moving into the new year.
You piqued my interest when you say accreditation. Can you expand on that a little bit? What direction is IICRC headed into as far as accreditation goes?
I'm glad you asked, Joe. Most know, I'm sure you're well aware, and most of your listeners, that our standards are accredited by the American National Standards Institute, but our certifications have never been accredited. So for the first time in this new year, 2022, we are excited to be on the path towards certification accreditation. So that'll be the first time ever, I believe, in the industry that an organization is both accredited as a standards developing organization and have an accredited certification. So that's been in the works since last year. And it was one of the strategic priorities we had in last year's strategic plan that carried over to this year. Accreditation is a long process. There's a lot of procedures to follow, but we're well on our way to seeing that happen in the new year.
Which certifications do you plan on starting with as far as accreditation, and what organization do you plan on getting accredited through?
Yeah, that's another great question there. Mold, we're going to start with mold. I believe that most of the kind of regulatory movement and laws that you're seeing across the United States and internationally, for that matter, at least that's what our research shows, most of the movement is around mold remediation and mold assessment. So we're starting with what is now known as the mold removal specialist certification. And we're going to work on getting that accredited. We're focused on receiving initial accreditation through ANSI as well, which our standards are certified. They have a separate entity under them called the National Accreditation Board, ANAB, the ANSI National Accreditation Board, that focuses specifically on certification accreditation. So we're doing it both through ANSI, and that's mostly because ANSI is the most well-known and reputable accreditor here in the United States, but also internationally. There are other international bodies that we've looked at, and there are other accreditors here in the States that we've looked at. But we believe because of ANSI's reach and its reputation that it makes so much sense to look at accreditation for our certification under their ANAB umbrella.
Well, that's certainly sweet music to my ears, Mike. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I was on that board many years ago, and I was a real advocate for working toward accreditation, just like with the standards. And I'm so thrilled to hear that's going on, and look forward to keeping up with IICRC and following how that's coming along. And hopefully we'll be getting you on again here pretty soon to chat a little bit more about upcoming events. Before we go, you mentioned the 3 other areas. Maybe you could just kind of real quickly highlight what you got planned in those areas.
Sure. I'll start with one of the other priorities that was a carryover from last year. So accreditation was one of the priorities carried over, and technology was one of the priorities carried over from last year. The other 2 are brand new, which I'll touch on in a minute. But technology, we invested well over $500,000 into revamping our database system so that we can process certifications faster, get renewals processed quicker, and at the door, so that the registrants, the certified technicians, and certified firms get their certificates in a timely manner. We also implemented new customer service with technology. One of the newest things we did is put a live chat function right on the homepage of our website. We've interacted with over 30,000 individuals now, and we have an over 92% satisfaction rating that we're holding. So when I first arrived, one of the things that the team agreed on was we got to get customer service up. It's got to be at the highest level. So we're measuring customer service, not 1, not 2, but 3 different ways. And the 3 different ways that we measure it are all exceeding industry benchmarks. So I just mentioned one with the live chat satisfaction. Our turnaround time on processing exams and getting renewals taken care of have all been significantly reduced. So we're really excited about that. And that was because of our investment in technology. The 2 new strategic priorities are advocacy and research, and they go hand in hand. So the first is advocacy, and we're primarily focused on government relations, with laws and regulations being worked on around trauma and crime scene cleanup and around mold remediation and assessment. So we are drafting letters, working on congressional testimony and other sort of advocacy initiatives to make sure that they're aware that there are industry standards that exist. So instead of letting the government define what the regulations are around them, we want them to know that the industry is already doing it. Most of the time, they're just not aware. Once they figure out that there are accredited standards and there's industry certifications out there, they're sort of first surprised if they haven't heard of it before, which is surprising how many of those are out there that they're not even aware of the existence of our organization or the standards and certs. But then they're also very interested in involving us in the development of the regulation and laws. And the last one is research. So we want to work on research to be a stronger institute. And the research we're talking about initially is related more to like labor outcomes. For example, a lot of the work around, let's use restoration as an example, is categorized under construction. So job demand with construction is not broken out for the restoration field. And so we don't know what the 10-year projection of growth is in water restoration or fire restoration in those fields. And so we're looking at different types of research to figure out, okay, number one, are we creating the right certifications based on demand in the marketplace? And if we have certifications or standards that are not informing the industry or marketplace, let's design those based on future projections. So we're excited about those 4, and I'll just recap them again. It's accreditation and technology as the carryover from last year, and the 2 new ones being advocacy and research.
Michael, that was perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, and thanks for spending some time with us today.
Of course. Take care, sir.
All right, next up, our marquee sponsor, Instascope CEO John Lovett, on his thoughts, predictions, and plans for 2022.
Well, I wish I knew it was going to happen in 2022. It's been a confusing journey for everyone. But what we did see this last year that was pretty apparent was the the concern about indoor air quality is higher than we've ever seen it. Many of the customers that are considering purchasing Instascope come to us because their phone is ringing saying, can you tell me what's in my air? And if all they're doing is running a mold test with spore traps, they're really not telling them what's in their air except maybe the mold. And most often that is not going to get to the true exposure, which Instascope will do for you. So we have found that quite interesting, that all of a sudden this is getting on people's radar. As we talked earlier, Joe, there is not a defined network for indoor air quality service providers. And so that's what we're wrestling with now. Instascope allows a technology-enabled service. And that's what we're looking at right now, is providing that technology-enabled service to where it's something that we would set up or work with people who want to get in that space specifically.
Yeah, it's not like, the restoration side of things where they have these big franchises nationwide, et cetera. When you're dealing with IAQ folks, they're mom and pop, and maybe some companies that are a little bigger, but they mostly do more industrial hygiene and health and safety type work. Is that what you're running into then?
That is what we're running into. It's the Mon Pa group is a very good group, and they've relied on what they've done for some time. What we're finding, both the commercial and residential, we just spoke about that in schools, is there's fairly significant opportunity in organizations that are needed to provide the service that we believe is there. Schools, commercial, and then of course residential. If I'm a customer and want to know what's in my air, I'm not going to get it with a couple of indoor mold samples. And the pandemic has really brought that to the forefront.
And with the Instascope, you can take as many samples as you want in that time frame, which is one of the benefits of having that technology.
It is. It's a continuous run whole area, and that's important. If you're talking about exposure, and that really is the core of this, what's the exposure in my built environment, whether it's commercial or residential or other? We can tell them that because we're doing whole area. Oftentimes there'll be one room or one area of that room that a person should be concerned about. And that's the virus and mold, which we segregate in one bucket, and then the mold. And then the third part of it is the other bioparticles of concern. So you have a pretty good picture across the spectrum of what's in your air and what's your exposure.
And you also do particle counts, temperature, relative humidity. Am I missing anything, John?
No, that's correct. And those that are doing this oftentimes will bring in the VOC meters and so on. But what we're after is a service that will provide that exposure assessment. And
then you also are aware of solutions because you've done work with Dr. Mark Hernandez, University of Colorado, a lot of school work. Can you tell people what essentially was the outcome of that research?
The research is pretty clear that when you know what's in your air, you have the ability to inform a solution. In many cases, we've seen carpets that are just filthy, full of mold. People open their windows, and over time, you've built up all of those spores. Maybe they're inactive, but it's still stuff that you resuspend and breathe. Okay, so when we can see this, which we do with Instascope, because it's very clear when you see resuspension, if you have high loading or concentrations, you say HEPA vacuum. The most effective and least cost is generally the spot filtration. Those are filters, HEPA filters. And you can place those strategically based on what you see with Instascope, okay, to lower that entire exposure, occupant exposure in the built environment. Very simple to do. But one of the things a customer says is, how do I know I have a problem? If you're not measuring the air, they don't know there's a problem. There may not be.
Yeah, you kind of make the invisible visible.
That's exactly right. And then with that, you're able to inform solutions. HEPA filters, HEPA vacuums, increase your airflow through better ventilation, get your filters changed. But we can show that reduction in real time. One of the Instascopes was used in the Trump organization, and they were able to show very quickly what an exposure reduction looks like for a large filter company.
Very interesting, John. Anything else we should know about in 2022? I don't want to tip off any secret plans or anything like that.
No, that's what we're looking at. We're being fluid in the market. There are upgrades continually in the instrument, that will give us more information, but that's essentially it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, John. Always a pleasure getting a chance to chat.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, let's jump right into Particles Plus. Jim Akey. Jim's been around this industry for many, many years. It's always great to hear his thoughts on what might be coming up as far as his thoughts, predictions, and plans for 2022.
We are excited about 2022. We're coming out with a whole slew of new products for the indoor air quality industry. We're real excited about the air care monitor. It's going to be a lower cost, still keep our accuracy and resolution, but there'll be for the buildings, homes, monitoring PM values, temp, humidity, TVOC, CO2, all sorts of good stuff. So real excited about that. We're hoping to have that first quarter of next year.
Sounds like you're branching into more indoor air quality and not just particles.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Yep. This year we released an ambient outdoor monitor, and we're coming up with a few improvements on that as well. The direction of the company has really been focused on the air quality, both indoor and outdoor. During the summers out here on the West Coast with all the forest fires, that was a very big topic for a lot of the folks out west here. So
yeah. Now, and I don't know that people realize Particles Plus has always had the capability to do more than just particles. You do, temperature, relative humidity. Do some of the models also do things like total VOCs or?
Yeah. Any of the instruments, we call them air quality monitors. They'll do particulates, temp, humidity, PM values, and then right now we've got mainly TVOC, total volatile organic compounds, and CO2. So we do a couple of the gases. We're working on expanding those, CO, add different things for different customers, kind of a plug and play type thing.
I got you. Okay. And then how, a lot of people had a rough year last year. How about Particles Plus? How did things go for 2021?
We are actually on track for about a 20 to 25% growth. So we have been extremely busy. And a lot had to do with the COVID. A lot of people, obviously more people are concerned about it, monitoring, trying to monitor, etc. So yeah, we've been keeping real busy.
Good.
We're finding a few parts shortages, just like everyone else. Luckily we stocked up. Adam had stocked up for a year's worth of stuff, so we're still running strong.
Good. And how does the demand look for next year?
We're expecting growth. With the air care monitor, we've got a large bid. I'm probably not supposed to say who it's from, but so that will be in the multi-millions of dollars. So I think we're gonna really explode in 2022.
I know Particles Plus is always a big presence at a lot of conferences and events. I'm sure that had to be cut down a little last year. How's it look for this year? You think you'll be on the road?
We're planning on being at the IAQA in Tucson, the AHR in Vegas. Unfortunately, I'm supposed to go to Hawaii for a healthy buildings conference.
Poor guy.
Next month. We also do, obviously, as you know, we sponsor the Indoor Air Quality Association and the shows.
Yes.
We also sponsor a number of the IAQ chapter meetings. I was just up in Seattle a couple of weeks ago for one of their meetings. We're starting up there. We're starting to get a few more people that actually come in live, which is nice. But they're doing a live and virtual. So for the people that aren't comfortable yet coming in, but for shows we've got a whole lineup of them.
When you go to these local shows, how are the 1 and 2 man? There's a lot of mom and pop IAQ people out there. How do they seem to be doing?
It's funny. The Seattle chapter that I sponsor each quarter is mainly made up of IHs. Not a whole lot of mom and pop. Mike Smith, the guy that runs it, he's got employees throughout the whole West Coast.
I see.
It's a larger organization. I mean, I meet some guys that are 4 or 5 man shops. They have been struggling. Just like everyone has,
right.
But hanging in there, I when I make my calls, I don't get any out of business, messages. So that's
good.
Nice. That's always nice. Yeah. So it's I think overall we see a rebound in a lot of areas. We're not just solely in air quality. We do a lot in the controlled environments or clean room spaces.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical, they've always had money and always will have money. So there hasn't been a drop off in that per se.
I see. Well, Jim, I appreciate you joining us. Anything you want to add before we go?
No, just happy holidays, man. It's good to see you, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the either AHR or IAQA.
That sounds great. Jim Akey, always great to hear from you. Have a good holiday.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care, buddy. Next up, and our last one, and this will be a little different spin on things because we've got the Sunbelt Rentals folks, Kirk Steward. He's their national product manager for Sunbelt. And we start out talking about how busy they have been during the COVID era. So it's a little different perspective and very interesting. It's been a great time over the last 2 weeks talking with our sponsors, getting a feel for how things are in the industry. Let's finish this last one, and then Cliff and I are going to go to the roundup and have a few final thoughts.
Yeah, you said it, and then some. We have ramped up in a very large way our indoor air quality offerings from a product perspective for a multitude of reasons. As we've all kind of gone through the pandemic, we've seen manufacturers run into supply chain problems. Just something as simple as just not enough air scrubbers in the whole world to fill the need when you look back at the beginning of this pandemic. And even now, as things have caught up, the rental business has become just a real viable option for people out there who need air quality gear. Now we're focusing on, the air scrubbers, temporary containment walls, pressure monitors, different products that kind of have always been in the world of Sunbelt. We've always had these products. But the pandemic's just forced us to reevaluate how large we need to be, what that scope really needs to be. I used to talk about indoor air quality gear in the thousands of pieces. Now I talk about it in the tens of thousands of pieces. We used to have a relatively limited line of products that we could offer for indoor air quality. Now we're expanding into different areas that we never even touched on before. Things like temporary containment walls. That was a product line that didn't exist in Sunbelt. But as more and more customers have requested it, have talked about it, and we see it as a real game changer in the industry, we've gotten in that business, and that's the way Sunbelt operates. If there is a need, if a consumer has a need, be it from a hospital group, a contractor, or anybody else that works in this kind of this industry, we want to be there to support them no matter what.
And let's talk a little bit more about that containment wall thing, because I find that very interesting. Can you tell us a little more about who you're partnering with there and how you plan on rolling this out?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a project that's near and dear to my heart. We are setting up a new specialty division in the world of Sunbelt. It's going to be called Temporary Containment Walls, or TCW. We'll be utilizing different manufacturers' products, but primarily the Stark product. From Stark Systems. They make a product called the Real Wall, which is a temporary containment wall used in all types of construction applications, both medical, non-medical, data centers, airports, commercial buildings. We've really noticed that this product is out in the marketplace, and sometimes you don't even know what you're looking at. It's simply a way to create a barrier wall in between the construction site, say a rehab or an upfit. You can put it under negative air to make sure that all of the quality air, the good air, is staying on one side of the wall and the bad air is staying on the other side of the wall. And you can think about it in the simplest terms, right? If I'm having my knee operated on, man, I sure don't want the dust from a cutoff saw coming into my operating room or my surgery center. And we feel like this product's going to be a real game changer in the industry from a rental perspective. It fits nicely in our world, and we will be opening stores all across the country to support this effort.
Yeah, I can see how it would fit real nice in the rental space, because I would imagine they're not cheap to buy, and you don't need that on every job. So I can see how that would fit real nicely. They also look like they're pretty easy to clean.
Yeah, absolutely. So, cleanliness, obviously, in a medical setting would be paramount. You simply cannot do anything else other than offer what we call a white glove service. This product is cleaned every single application. It's also cleaned during the setups, as these things are in the medical buildings or wherever the application happens to be. You've got crews that are cleaning these walls just regularly. And you're absolutely right when it comes to why it makes sense in the rental space. I mean, it's a relatively expensive product. It's difficult to store. It's difficult to move. Oftentimes with containment walls, it's not as simple as just a setup and a takedown. We often follow projects along. We'll do 2, 3, 4 modifications of a project as the contractor is moving along with his project. And we're simply partnering with that contractor to follow him from the very beginning to the end of it.
Yeah, it sounded like you said it before I could. You're partnering with these contractors. Where else do you see 2022? Any other areas beside the containment wall that you see as being, growing real quickly, and especially in the rental space?
Yeah, sure. So, large volume applications for air scrubbers are something that we normally didn't see a few years ago. There would always be the big projects, say hurricane rolls through and you've got a lot of mold damage that has to be addressed after the drying portion of the remediation process is done. And you'll get contractors or customers calling in for relatively large volumes of scrubbers. Again, the pandemic has really changed that. It's turned it on its head. The days of somebody wanting 1 or 2 pieces, that still happens, but we fill orders for hundreds and hundreds of air scrubbers, including some very specialized units. We've all seen kind of the tried and true commercial grade air scrubbers that have been around for 20, 25 years in the industry. That is evolving. We're seeing a lot more technical air scrubbers. We're seeing air scrubbers that utilize physical barriers, HEPA filtration, along with UV lights. That was something that wasn't common in the industry before, and now more and more manufacturers are offering those products to offer an additional level of protection when it comes to cleaning the air. It just makes sense. Unfortunately, it took a pandemic to kind of highlight it for everyone. So we will be continuing to grow our fleet. We'll be continuing to partner with new customers in different areas. Something as simple as air scrubbing for health concerns is relatively new. Normally, when you needed an air scrubber, you needed it for an application, mold, asbestos, you pick it. But you were specifically trying to remove something, it's something particular from the air. Nowadays, air quality is all about just health. We rent air scrubbers in office buildings just as much as hospitals. We rent air scrubbers in industrial spaces where before, maybe they'd rent a lift or a backhoe or something like that. Now they're looking for air quality gear simply because they want to protect their customers, they want to protect their people, and it just makes sense.
Well, it looks like Sunbelt made a good decision to go more heavily into the indoor air quality space, Kirk.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I want to thank you for joining us. It's been great. Nice to always see, a business doing well, and certainly good to see that people are more aware of indoor air quality now. Well, Kirk, Steward, thanks for joining us here, and look forward to talking to you again as the 2022 goes along.
That's great. Thanks for having me.
All right. The Roundup is brought to you by Aprilaire, providing healthy humidity, ventilation, and air purity solutions for new and existing homes. Aprilaire, healthy air, healthy home at aprilaire.com. Cliff, all I can say is, all right, I did it. It's all yours, babe. Any final thoughts or comments?
I do, Joe. Thank you. Well, first of all, Joe, we're going into our 15th year of partnership and doing this together. And I think three things have really made that possible. You know, the first, I'd like to thank the listeners. I mean, they're the reason we do it. I'd like to thank the guests. They provide the content, and those are the people with whom we do it. The third is the sponsors. Without their support, you know, financial and otherwise, we really wouldn't be able to do it. The next thing is, you know, we've spent a whole year talking about COVID and talking about solutions for COVID and talking about what to do in schools. And the same things kept coming out over and over and over again. Well, first of all, fix the HVAC system because a lot of them weren't working, and then improve the HVAC system, and then redesign the HVAC system and improve the filtration and bring in HEPA air cleaners. And then the government provided a lot of money to states to do this. And my disappointment, Joe, is a lot of this money, number one, hasn't been spent yet. And then a lot of it was misspent, went into things like critical race theory and training teachers and so on and so forth. That money was for kids and to protect them. And you know, to me, that's a big disappointment that the money didn't go and hasn't gone, you know, where it needed to go. And, you know, one thing, afterthoughts, I just remind everybody, you know, the conversations, the things we talk about in the show continue after the show for a limited period of time. And afterthoughts, you know, that period runs from one show to the next. So we'll be talking about this show until the next show. So I'll turn things back to you, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Cliff. And I want to thank the Z-Man, my co-host. Of course, John, you got to have faith. All of our sponsors, they were just fantastic about, you know, making whatever arrangements were necessary to make sure they were represented on today's show. And I just, as I said in the show announcement, I learned a lot doing this show, and I enjoy this show, and it's great to get perspectives from the different parts of our industry. So I hope you all have enjoyed it. We'll be back next Friday at noon with the next broadcast of IAQ Radio. We've got a great show. Kishore Kankari, Dr. Kankari, we're going to talk about computational fluid dynamics, which we've never really covered closely on the show. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it helps people visualize how complex sometimes it can be when you're trying to figure out what type of pollutants and particles and so forth are in a building and how they're traveling through a building. I think he's going to do a great job on showing us that. So I look forward to having everybody back next Friday at noon for the next episode of IAQ Radio Plus.
For IAQ Radio, I'm Spike Reel saying thanks for listening.